going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. aka Ryan680.
I'm Angela, that's Kelly Ange.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. And yeah, let's get right to it. Normally we don't normally do this whenever we release movies and everything, because it's May the 4th, guys. So May the 4th to every single one of you families. But today we actually are recording this. This was originally planned for May the 4th, of course, opening weekend for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the prequels, the prequel trilogy that everyone likes to call it and everything. Mm-hmm. So to put that into perspective, we're actually watching it on Revenge of the 5th of day and everything. So happy Star Wars Day to you guys, whatever part of the country you're at or whatever part of the world you're at. Happy Star Wars Day to every single one of you guys. May the 4th be with every single one of you. And yeah, let's get right to, Angela, I wanted to talk about this open discussion because we're in a different mindset with Star Wars. Star Wars, a lot of people, and again, we'll talk, maybe we'll mention our ratings of it in the end of this video, but we're not really, it's going to be a different format here, more of a just open discussion here. And one of the things I did appreciate a lot more, I feel like I've watched this movie, we were 5 when this movie came out. So, did I watch this movie in theaters? I did not. Did you?
No.
Okay, so we did not.
Even if I did, I don't think I would remember. But honestly, I don't think my parents would have. Well, my dad. I don't think my mom's not into Star Wars. My dad is, but I think we're a little bit too young then. But I did grow up watching or rewatching, like on VHS and all that. When VHS was a thing. And DVDs.
No, I got you.
Who does DVDs now? The prequel series. So I think the first one for me is very memorable because we see little Anakin. And he's so cute and so relatable because he just wants to prove himself, and especially the pod racing. That's such an iconic scene in that movie. It's one of my favorites.
It's almost a hint to a video game, and it was. It was when I was growing up. There was this at Peter Piper Pizza. There was a Star Wars game, and it was a pod racing game, and I would get it every single time. And then also the Fast and Furious. We would still play when we were dating at the time. It's not there no more, sadly, but
Peter Piper's changed. I just went a couple weeks ago for my nieces.
No more games. No more.
Very upgraded. I will say that. But again, we still remember Peter Piper way back in the day when they still had the tokens, none of those cards that you reload. I get it though. But it's definitely very nostalgic for us to watch it because they did bring it back in theaters, this movie, Phantom Menace, for the 25th anniversary. I can't believe we were 5 when this came out. That's crazy.
And not just that, but that's the thing too, is that I appreciate more so. So going back to where I was saying, the mindset of Star Wars. We're at a weird time where there hasn't been a Star Wars movie in production so many years. The last one was Rise of the Skywalker. We got the Disney trilogy, the Disney sequel trilogy that they're calling it, that we all call it here. And so after watching the sequel trilogy and everything, the Disney sequel trilogy, and again, this is going back to where the lore of Star Wars, the lore of everything, and some things we noticed that was wait, we never saw that in movies. One of the things that we never appreciate, and again, I'm talking about myself, I'm really in reality myself. Again, this could be totally, maybe you noticed it and I didn't, but one of the things that we talked about when we kind of discussed while we're watching the movie, we're watching with Angela's dad as well, was that there's one thing that you get to do in the games that you really never saw in movies ever, that I could think of right now, that you never saw besides Episode 1. George Lucas wrote and directed it, and everyone's all like, why is he directing? He should just be the writer and everything. Why did he direct? Amateur actor, all green screen, at the time that it came out in the 90s. So, and to the 2000 millennium. So regardless though, put that into perspective here. Second thing, the second thing I would say is that, it talks about how the Star Wars lore of Jedi was a force jump walk or a force run that we never ever saw in the Star Wars lore, ever. So that's one of the things I appreciated that George Lucas did that I didn't notice it at the time.
Yeah. Again, this is we've noticed watching this. It's been a while,
Yes, yeah.
It has been a while since we've seen this one.
Yeah. And it's been redone, re-edited, and we saw that. We saw that in this. They re-edited someone, a bounty hunter that was supposed to be, that isn't in the original cut of it, but it actually came out later because the Disney version of it, they added more stuff to it. Same thing with who shot first, Han Solo, or it just there's a lot. We're not gonna go into that discussion, but regardless, Han Solo shot first. But anyways, but going back into the Episode 1 and everything, this. That's the thing too. So the Disney sequel, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but the Disney sequel, knowing that it came out and everyone dogged and talked so much shit about Phantom Menace. After the Disney sequel, it makes the Phantom Menace look like a masterpiece compared to the Disney sequel. That's what I'm going with. And
yeah, I do like the prequels, the Phantom Menace, and
and that's the sad part is that I like it more the Disney sequels are just garbage. Besides The Force Awakens, but
I wouldn't go that far. It's definitely not as good. So, like, when we saw these films, the prequels, we were relatively young, and I think now that we're rewatching them, remastered, of course, as we're older, we can definitely appreciate a lot of different things that we didn't notice when we were young, right?
Yeah.
I did. I will say one of the things he wasn't in this film, but I will say. I love that Hayden is getting love now because I know when the prequels were a thing, when they first came out, he did not get a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of critics did not like his take on Anakin. And I wholeheartedly disagree. I think now that us, like I said, those films, like millennials, we were young when we saw them. Yeah. Now that we're older, we can appreciate and love him and show him the love he's always deserved.
And we took a picture with him.
I love that. Again, it goes back to this Phantom Menace. We see him as a young Anakin. I know it's not Hayden, but we see Anakin fresh off, like he's in the pod racing again. I think the pod racing is one of my favorite scenes. The next one, it's pretty close is the duel between Darth Maul.
The duel of the fates.
Favorite character.
So okay, let's talk. You jump started. You went ahead. Let me talk about that. So one of the things is that in Star Wars, even the original trilogy, guys, there's always been this held backness. What I mean by this, Vader really didn't go against Luke because he knew that was his son. He didn't really do a true fight between them two. Mm-hmm. We didn't really see that a lot in this movie, and so or more so in the past films. So in the past movies, even the original trilogy, we go back to where there's always something holding them back.
It's more war scenes.
No, not just that, but it's more so. I'm talking about the Jedi fights. Oh, the Jedi fights, they're more something's holding them back. Obi-Wan really didn't fight; he gave up to Vader. Luke knew that. Luke found out that was his father. Why is he gonna? There's so much holding them each other back. Where it's family related or that they grew up with that other person when versus the Dark Lord of the Sith, which is Darth Vader. But anyways, one of the things I did appreciate even more in this movie, watching it a second time, 25 years later, was, the duel of the fates, a true Sith. And I'm again, call me crazy, but as far as Star Wars movies go, right? Because we're talking about the movies. We're not talking about the TV shows. We're not talking about that. But movie-wise, as far as movie-wise, this one, the prequel trilogies have one of the best Star Wars freaking fights, the best Star Wars Jedi fights. They do. They really do.
Because
and they don't hold back.
Jedi.
Yeah.
I feel like
not just that, but it's prime time. It's prime Ewan McGregor. It's prime Obi-Wan. It's Qui-Gon. That scene still gets to me every single time. And Qui-Gon Jinn, and there's nothing holding them back. They are true fighting mode, and they're just trying to find out what the hell's going on. Why is the dark side here? There's this disturbance in the Force.
The coming back,
the Sith
are coming back, right?
Yeah.
It was really cool to see again all these little moves kind of going in place, like how Chancellor Palpatine became Supreme Chancellor. It was cool to see the Jedi Council. What, the Sith's coming back? That's unheard of. We would know, but they didn't know. Yep. So it's really cool to see all these chess pieces kind of put into place that we'll see come back in the later movies, in the later prequels.
Yeah.
So I will say I really appreciated rewatching it. It really refreshed my mind because I had forgotten a couple details here and there since the last time we saw it. It's been years. But I will say I loved seeing this again in theaters. I think it was really cool to see it remastered on the big screen with all the big surround sound. It was really cool. Again, one of my favorite scenes is that duel between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon.
That duel
and Obi-Wan.
is so great.
So good.
Yeah.
I am so heartbroken that my favorite character, Darth Maul, is only in this
film.
So
that's okay. Let's talk about that. So there are problems with this movie. This movie is not perfect. There are problems with this film, and I gotta admit though, there are quite a bit of problems in here. And here's the thing. Here's the 2 cents here. The problem is that I feel like they killed Darth Maul off way too soon. I feel like if they would have brought him in and killed him in the second movie, that would have been better. as far as like character goes, because Darth Maul really says, he does have a few lines in here, but at the same time, I like that he has a few lines because it's the mysterious behind it. He's the mysterious figure of the Sith, that the dark side of the Force that we never saw, and and everyone calls this. Everybody calls this the setup. This is the Star Wars setup movie, and it is. In reality, it is. It's a startup where, like you already said, we saw Anakin. We see Anakin for the first time, who later becomes Darth Vader. We see a lot of different, the Chosen One per se. We see a lot of setups in here for future films. And so without further ado, this movie is way more appreciated now because of the crappy. I think even before that, I think even after that, but it's really proven that, like, I know it because I've seen comments, I've seen people talk about this movie, talk about the prequel trilogies, that like, because, and again, this is because of Disney's sequel. I feel like that, and I feel like more movie fans are more conscious now. When I mean by more conscious, they're more aware, and they're more observant, and they're more appreciated on the prequel trilogy because of how bad Disney's trilogy was.
Well, also because I feel like there is we're older now. Yeah. So like I said, when this prequel came out in 1999, millennials were still pretty young. Yeah. Now they're older. They have their adult money and they can whatever. But they can rewatch them with a new lens. We are older. I think we're at the age where boomers first saw the original trilogy in theaters in the 70s. So I thought it was really cool, like, again, to I think if we all just rewatch the prequels, we'll be able to see them in a new lens. Yeah. Are they perfect? By no means. But again, it has a lot of setup, and I think it also ties to, because we watch a lot of the animated shows. Yeah. And it's really cool to see, how they kind of intertwine now. Yeah, with the with the Clone Wars,
which is fine, but like, it's just crazy to me, and it's still always talking about when anyone mentions the Star Wars genre, is the fact that there's no Star Wars movie in production right now, and it's been so many years. And I get it. The Acolyte's coming out. They give us a little sneak peek. For me, it's cool. It looks all right. It just looks like a TV show. But that's the thing too, is that like, we're at a time where it's just Star Wars the priority should always be movies. To me, and if I'm in charge of Star Wars projects, everything should be priority movies, because movies is what makes more money. Disney Plus Acolyte is not going to make Disney more subscribers. It's not. It doesn't seem like that type of show because it's a setup. It's almost because they're going to open up to an open world where like it's before Anakin's, before all that. And that's good. But I feel like, to me, they should have ran it. If they were going to do a TV show to begin with, they should have ran it as a movie first, then kind of push, okay, hey guys, did you everyone like this? Then push that TV show.
I disagree at the same time, because it's like, what kind of TV shows? Like, would we start a whole new trilogy?
Well, no, I'm talking about the Acolyte. So if the Acolyte,
if it were to be a TV show,
if it is a TV show,
if it were to be a movie,
first. And then you just bring in the TV show.
When you say you want more movies, are you saying you want more spin-off like Rogue One? Because that's not a part of a trilogy.
No,
that's just a story.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Do you want more stories like that, or
I want more movies? It could be a story. That's great. If it could be a trilogy, it could be. I just want more movies. I want more movies, and that's the thing too. Is that Rogue One, we just watched the other day. Rogue One was such a hidden treasure, and it's way more better than what everyone says it is, in my point of opinion. I love Rogue One. Rogue One's amazing. And then we got Andor season 2 coming out next year. Andor was another series that's like a Game of Thrones.
That was cool because it was a spin-off from Rogue One.
But you gotta admit though, the TV shows, Star Wars TV shows, has been going downhill. I mean, besides Andor, but The Mandalorian last season was just, my God. It was like it did not, the outcome of that show was not the best outcome. I'll just leave it at that. But I'm going to say politely, it wasn't the best outcome I predicted, or just, the climax wasn't there. It felt empty. It was just empty dullness in the movie, in the outcome of that season.
I feel like also some of the other shows that have come out since Mandalorian, like the Book of Boba Fett, I felt like half of it was just another season of Mandalorian. Yeah. Obi-Wan, I wanted to love it, but I didn't. Nothing on Obi-Wan. Yeah. I just didn't like where the story went.
It was cool to see the lightsaber fight though. That was really cool. Yeah, no, it was between cool. Darth Vader. That was. I appreciated
loved,
that.
Like, how Hayden came back in Ahsoka and everything. Yeah. It was great. I loved seeing all that. But were those shows to our expectations of like we would see this again and again, and it was surprises every time? No, I feel that way with Rogue One. We've seen it countless times, and there's still scenes like where the very end where they're on Scarif, the Battle of Scarif, where the Death Star station shows up and it, you know, fires. Still shock and awe, right? Like you just it's oh my god, it's great. And so I will say I am hopeful that Acolyte, to me it looks like it has promise, and I think I do think that it will surprise a lot of people. I'm hoping because the rebellions are built on hope. Anyways, I do think that
save the rebellion, save the dream.
I do hope that it's going to be better than what we've gotten before. So I am very hopeful. But to circle back into Phantom Menace, I will say I loved seeing it again in theaters. I want more of just all the films in general.
Just Jedi lore, Star Wars lore that we never see. We never really get to see that again. The Force running in that, and I thought that was really appreciated. I appreciate the prequel. I appreciate the prequels. The prequels. I appreciate them a lot more now, more so because of the fact that the way the turn of events happened in Last of Jedi and in Rise of Skywalker, which I think those are both terrible names, but
and we love Hayden. And we met him briefly for a photo, and he was like the nicest person ever. Yeah, and then that's the thing too, is that like, okay, it's just crazy to me how just they're, you know, the Acolyte. I'm gonna go in with the open book and an open like mind and everything, but at the same time, I'm not like, man, maybe it's as great of a show. But here's the thing: if it's as great of a show, it should have been a movie. That's I mean, to be honest, the way it is, because it's not going to connect to any of the Skywalkers. It better not. Oh my God! If you mention like, look at this Skywalker, as ancestry or some crap, it shouldn't whatsoever. But if it does, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, okay, this needs to stop. And so I feel like that that's the only thing I have going for me right now watching the Acolyte. Well, it shouldn't connect to it's like Skywalker 100 years. One, I completely forgot this. In the Phantom Menace, where she's like, he has no father, you know. Yeah. So no, I know. I can't imagine a great ancestor having like great powers if he was the chosen one. Yeah, I can't imagine. If that's just kind of that's a stretch, you know. Yeah, I hope not. I hope they don't throw in some cheesy stuff like that. But I am very hopeful. Again, main character Trinity from Matrix is badass. Yeah. I love her. Yeah, so she's great. I can't wait. And I'm excited because I mean, really, reality. That's the one thing the actress, it's herself leading this TV show. But at the same time, though, we at that trailer, the beginning trailer, I don't know if I like the trailer. Like, I'm kind of on the fence on it. And then like 7, I mean, it's overkill. 7 Jedi versus 1. I mean, come on. It just makes the Sith whatever. It makes them more powerful than what it is. I just hope they stick to the lore of the Sith book and the Star Wars Jedi book and everything, or at least try to. We need to break out the Sith book. We have it somewhere in our closet. But yeah, all right, guys. But yeah, Phantom Menace is really way much appreciated now, more so because I just think, in my point of opinion, because I've seen more people talk about it, and not just that, but like when the time that it came out, there hadn't been a Star Wars movie since the 70s. So there was a huge moment here where like they had to capitalize. And I feel like that, I mean, they even made a movie about watching Star Wars. That's the crazy thing, you know? And so like, it definitely is a moment to where like, holy smokes, you know, it's been so long. Again, we're talking about when the first release of the 1999 Phantom Menace. Yeah, I think I miscalculated our age. We should have been 6, turning 7. Okay, all right. It came out in May. Yeah, because Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. So 1983 to 1999. That's such a long time. Well, like 15, 16 years. Yeah, that's such a long time. So knowing that and everything, it really just comes back to where like the anticipation was killing everybody. Again, there was where no social media. There was no social media back in it because social media didn't exist back then. So then it was but see, here's the thing. It was the anticipation of the fans. Yeah. The fans brought it up. The fans united. The fans got together and really talked about this. Now social media, it's like hashtags, you know, here and there, and they appreciate it. But at the same time, though, it's like,
you can't really keep anything hidden anymore. No spoilers anymore per se, because I mean there's so many things where like people
information
expect that,
like social media has like made information so readily available.
I know, yeah.
Like that's just
it's good and bad.
The internet, especially social media, like you just you mention something and then like someone around the world already knows. Like,
exactly. And another thing too, I do want to say, good thing you mentioned that, because it's going to reflect back. So the politics, we saw that more, and I love politics in Star Wars. I do. I love it. I loved it more in Clone Wars. I love the politics side. I love it.
It's frustrating.
Isn't it kind of revealing a little bit how Palpatine is, this is a democracy in the Republic, the Senate. It is kind of revealing a little bit how he manipulates the Queen Amidala to get what he wants, which is to be the Chancellor. It definitely,
and that's how it all starts.
And that's how, I mean, it's not like it's not happening in our current time. It's not. I mean, foolish people believing in other people. It just, it's definitely a time where it definitely is revealing. It definitely is just very, very observant, very curious about that. But I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah. Again, I don't like the
politics.
I'm
just
so
grinning.
Frustrating because it's like there's so much bureaucracy, nothing gets done. Like it's like
even more so.
That was a point. Like that was a point. But
and they even touched up on it in Clone Wars.
Yeah, and so I will say that I appreciate seeing all the puzzle pieces start to go into place. Again, for the big reveal that we get, in the third movie. So I will say, again, if anyone gets the chance to rewatch the prequels or just any Star Wars film, when they bring it back in theaters, do it. You'll love it. Especially the remastered and the big screen. There's no other best way to do all those like scenes,
to watch a movie,
space battles. Fights like Jedi fights, lightsaber fights with the big screen, with the big surround. It's just great. It's an experience. So.
And I recommend watching every single movie in a movie theater. There's no better experience. But I'll leave it at that, guys. Rating 1 out of 10 to be the highest answer. I know, comment throwing it at you. What would you give Phantom Menace after watching it 25 years later? Again, this is me talking that I used to talk crap about Phantom Menace. I did at one point. I did.
You did.
I think I give it a higher rating than I did previously. Right now, I'm going to give it probably an 8.7.
Okay.
Out of 10. I'm gonna give it a little bit higher rating than I did. I think at the time I gave it like a 6 or 7. I can't remember, but I did. My score definitely went up after rewatching it. After because we haven't really talked about it ever. I don't think we ever talked about the Movie Talk channel, but because we didn't exist at the time, the channel didn't. But even more so after the Disney prequels or as the sequels, after the Disney sequels and everything, after Disney pushed out the TV shows, that's my rating because of after the history of Star Wars has come out, all the projects have come out for the most part, and so 8.7.
I'll give it an 8 because again, it has my favorite character, Darth Maul. I do agree. I think he was an underutilized character. They killed him off too quick.
Yeah,
and he that's the thing with the setup with that. He had so much potential to do so many good things in the film, in the franchise. But we see it when he comes back in Clone Wars, the animated show, and Rebels, and so we see him again. But I'm mad though you don't see him in the film world. But I think I agree with you, that lightsaber scene between him and Qui-Gon.
Oh, the lightsaber fight,
the Fiend, that's really one of my favorites. Also, like I think it's great.
The music is, I mean,
Music's great. Music is fantastic.
So the music, of course, is John Williams. It's the music that it's freaking amazing. Everything about the host, it's just fantastic.
You like that particular scene with the music. You think of that and relate that to Darth Maul because that's the music to his scene, So I like that. Yeah. So again,
I mean, the whole music itself, then the whole film is just spectacular. Yeah. The music, there's no issues with the music. Yeah.
Iconic. But I will say had some pacing issues a little bit. In the middle.
Quick note, guys, as well, was that at the end of Phantom Menace, when the end credits end, you could actually hear Darth Vader's breathing. The very end.
Oh, that's funny. I was talking to my dad. I was like, "Hey, did you like it?" So I completely disregarded that. Yeah. But I will say again, if you have a chance to see them in theater again,
watch it.
Yeah, watch it.
All right.
You'll love it.
All right, guys. Thank you for staying tuned. If you listen to us on a podcast platform, you know what to do. Subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, and give us a thumbs up on our 25 years you know,
25th anniversary.
25th. I mean, it's pretty much been 25 years since we saw it because I saw it when I was. Oh, you know what? No, it's been shorter than that.
We've seen it before. I've seen it before. So again,
I've seen different iterations of it, different editions because again, it's been remodified and everything. But I just
But
I'll leave it at that.
It's all fun. So again, you might see it differently. So
all right, guys, let us know in the comments down below. Did you watch Force Awakens? Did you watch Phantom Menace this opening weekend? Let us know on the comments down below, and let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much. Have a good one. As always, I'm your host Ryan D. You can know Ryan680.
Angela Ange.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Stay safe, San Antonio. Peace. See you at the movies.